Hi, today I would like to look at Prisma from the website prisma.io. So you're thinking, well, what is Prisma? Well, let's have a look. Prisma is an object relational mapping tool for JavaScript and TypeScript. So an object relational mapping tool, also known as an ORM tool. Then you think, well, what is ORM then? Well, ORM, the ORM tool is a tool that lets you work with a database that we've been working on already, like Postgres, using regular code instead of writing the SQL queries that we have been writing earlier. So we're going to use regular code now instead. So instead of writing a query like this, like select everything from users where ID equals 1, we will now write something like this. So we create a variable here, const user equals wait, because we know when we fetch something from the database it might take a while, so it's asynchronous. And then we use prisma.user, because we're going to create a schema for the user. And then once we press a dot, we're going to get options, and one of them is find unique, because the ID should be unique. And then we can choose there, for example, where the ID equals 1. Okay, without further ado, let's jump right into Visual Studio Code. So I've just fired up a new folder here, and this is a brand new clean sheet. So we're going to install npm init-y there. Then we're going to do npm install there, and as dev dependencies we do TypeScript, ts node, and nodemon, and we're also going to install npm install .env and express. Let's create the .env file, and you see it's shown up here. The dependencies are there, and let's also create our index.es file, and let's create it quickly. Let's do import express from express. Let's say const app equals express app.use express.json, and let's see why this is. Let's do type and module. Let's say app.listen, and let's put it on port 3000. And we say console.log, server is running on port 3000. There. Then we need to also install the types for Express. So let's do that. npm I, and then it said add types Express. There. Oh, listen. There. Let's also write here. Let's say dev. nodemon index.ts. ps, and let's try it out. npm run dev, and we can see it's running. Okay, I'm just going to cancel this one. Now we're going to install Prisma, because we're going to use Prisma, and we're also going to install the client, the Prisma client, so we can use it in our code. And now we can run npx Prisma init, and it will initialize our Prisma project over here, and we'll create folders and files that we will need. So press enter. There, and you can see it's created a folder here with a schema. You can see here Prisma is installed and the Prisma client is installed as well. Now you're going to get some next steps here, but we are going to skip it for now because we'll get to that in our code. Then we have the schema.prisma here, and this is then color coded, as you can see, and that is because I installed an extension here called Prisma, and it is from prisma.io. So install that one. You can recognize the logo. Don't do this one, take the top one. Now, instead of having our database on Docker, let's try to have it online for a second, because that's what we want to do in the end, post our projects online. Let's have a look. We can go to the website from Prisma, right here, or you can go to neon.com, similar. Neon.com, for example, ships faster with Postgres. The database developers trust the database developers trust on a serverless platform designed to help you reliable and scalable applications faster. All we do is with Prisma. If we just compare the two here, I look at pricing. With Neon here, you can get for free 20 projects, 100 CU hours per project. So you see here how that's calculated. Half a gigabyte per project. And if we then look at Prisma has pricing as well. For free here. Up to 5 databases and 500 megabytes storage. But let's stick within Prisma for now. So we click on login, and you either sign up here or you log in. So I've already done that with GitHub, so I click GitHub and we'll get here. Welcome to your personal workspace. Create your first project to get started with Prisma Postgres. So I'm going to say new project, and I'm going to call this sports athletes, something like that. You can enable additions perks later. So we just want to choose this one here, Prisma Postgres. I'm going to click get started. Where are we? So let's take Frankfurt. I guess that's closer to Paris, or than Paris. Then we get here. We want to click on connect, and we want to use this env file here. So we copy that in. We go back here, and in our schema, you see here where it says env, and it wants the database URL, and that one is right there. Paste it in. I think that was an old one. I don't know why that's picking up on an old one. So that's our database URL. Now let's have a look at the schema here. And first of all, we're going to remove line 9 here, because we'll generate it in a minute. There, otherwise we'll get an error. Here you see that the database source here is our PostgreSQL, and the URL is the one from the Prisma database that we are connecting it to. Then what we're going to use here is we are actually going to create our table. And we're going to create the table as a model. Therefore, we're going to write down model, and it's going to be a user. And in here, now we're going to write the columns, sort of. So first column is going to be an ID column, and an ID is an integer. Then we're going to say, and then with the IDs, if we do add ID, it's going to be automatically our primary key here. We also want to add another marker here called default, and we want it to be by default auto increment. We want the ID to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Another thing a user needs is a name, and the name is of type string. And even here we could say, okay, by default, we might want to say the default name is Michiel. Okay. But we'll leave it for now. It's not a placeholder, because placeholders you have to sort of swap it out. This will be a default value if there's no value entered. We also want the email, which is then also a string. And this email here, we want to be unique. So we can choose unique there. Now at the moment, if I look at my project here, so if I go to the dashboard here, and I can click on, I can click on sports athletes here, and I look at the studio here. The next, see, there's no tables found. So let's create the tables, and right now we can actually do that straight from here. Okay, so we need to migrate the schema, and to do that we need to make sure we're in the correct folder here, and I'm going to say npx and then Prisma migrate, and we're still in development, so we're going to write dev for that, and then here we're going to declare now a name. So initial database setup, like this perhaps, and I press enter. And now when it's done, you can see that it has created a migrations folder here, and it has created a table for us here. So create the table, ID, serial, not allowed to be null, name, text or string, not null, serial means auto increment, email, text not null. And let's have a look in our Prisma. Let's see. In our Prisma table, let's see here. And you can see it has created our users table here with indeed the ID, email, and the name. Now that we have the connection here between our schema and our database, we also need to make sure that our client can talk to it. So therefore we need to write the following code. We're going to write npx and again Prisma, and now we need to write down generate. And now you can see here that we have generated the Prisma client. So when we write something in here, we should be able to access the schema and make some changes. Let's create some dummy data here. So we're going to create a seed, as it's called, seed.ts, there. So let's create some dummy data here. We're going to write down import, and we're going to import the Prisma client from the Prisma client there. Then we're going to say const Prisma equals, and we're going to create an instance there. Then we're going to create a function here so we can add some data. And it's going to be asynchronous because we're going to talk to the database. And we're going to call this seed. And in here, async and await, we're going to say Prisma dot, I'm going to have the user here, dot, and I should say new there, dot, and here we can see options already from Prisma. So we want to create many entries here. We can also just create one. You see that? Create many in return. Let's just create many for now. And then let's add some data here. So we need to say data. And this is all Prisma syntax. So, and in here I have some data already from AI here, there, like this. And let me give myself also a surname then. There. Okay. So we are opening a connection here. And then what we can do at the end is we can call the function and open it. And we can also say once we're done, then we actually want to run this function here. And we want to say Prisma dot, and then we want to disconnect. So open, run it, and disconnect. So to be able to run this file, let's go in here. Let's call this Prisma. And let's go in here and let's call this seed. And then let's say TS node. And it's in the folder Prisma /forward seed.ts. Save. Now let's try this here. I'm going to say clear, and we're going to say npx Prisma db, and then seed. Enter. Let's have a look. Your database is now in sync with your schema, and the seed command has been executed. So let's have a look if it's in there. So I'm going to pull this over again here and refresh. And there we have our data. Okay. Let's move on. Now let's also check here what we can do here, because we have written in our schema here. This should be unique. So what happens then? First of all, what happens if I run this again? Exact same thing. Okay. It's going to say it's already in there. Let's see here. Yeah, basically what it wants us to do is just delete it, because we already have the unique constraint is filled, right? We have the email in there already, so we cannot double that up unless we change the unique value here to a 1, for example. 1. So let's save this, because you could see here that the name was not unique, okay, and the ID is auto incrementing. So let's run it again and it should work. Let's see what happened here. Did I miss one? Yes, my name, of course, there. There. Let's see, did it do the other ones? Let's have a look. Did it do the other ones except mine? So no, it didn't do any. So let's just change this here. That's changed. Let's try again. There. Now it was all good. And refresh. And you can see that it's copied, because the name was not unique, but the email was unique. Okay. Let's just delete all of them here for a second. And let's just remove the ones here. So I can say there. And I'm gonna run it again. There. Refresh. And we're back. Good. Okay, so now we are able to get this here, but of course we can write this in our Express. So let's do that here. We'll basically do the same here. We need to copy these 2 lines, paste them in there, and then we can say app.get, same as before, there, try, catch, console.log, error. Message. And here, of course, we get the type of unknown. So what we can do is we can say again, if error instance of error, so if true, then we can response with the, let's do request and response here. We response with the status of 500, and we can send the error.message. Otherwise, we can respond also with the status of 500. And we can send unknown error there. And let's go to, let's say we want to go to users there. And in here we're going to put our logic, our syntax here. So we can say const users equals await, and this is an asynchronous because it takes a while. And then we can do the same as we did over here. Prisma.user, okay, so Prisma dot user, I said, yeah. And when we now do a dot, we're going to get lots of options here. So let's find the first one here. Find first. So the first one in the table. And then we can, so of course, send back the JSON, response with the JSON, and that is then the users. There. So let's try this out. And let's see. So we're going to do npm run dev. So we know the server is running. Then we can open up Insomnia. What? Yeah, let's open up Insomnia. Let's just create a new project here. And let's call this Prisma Athletes. Create. There. Let's send a request. And let's call this one users. There. HTTP localhost 3000 users. Send. Could not resolve host name. Oh, let's see here. Can I just could not get users. Let's have a look. And let's check here. Users. Maybe that was a mistake. Let's try again. Yes. So, and indeed, I was the first one on the list there. So that works. What happens if I choose something else? So let's see. Dot find. What about find many? If I don't say anything, then it should get everything, everybody. So let's see. And indeed, that is the whole list. Okay, what else can we do? So let's try another one here. Let's see here. Dot find. Let's see what happens here. Find unique. What happens there? And it has this squiggly line here because it expects an argument, but it got 0. So we need to add an argument here. So we can do that. And it gives you an example here. So I need the curly braces here and then saying where. Okay. Then in my schema here, I have one unique here. So I can say where email, I guess. Or can I even do the ID as unique as well? So they need to be unique. Let's have a look. So I can say here, there, and then I do where, and then I can say ID, and I can pick into my code here. Let's take alien here, ID 29. So where ID equals 29. Okay, let's try that out. Send, and I'm gonna get alien back. I can also say where the email, and let's see what kind of email I want. Let's take Karin. Let's try, see if this works. Am I going to get Karin back? I do indeed. But these fields need to be unique. So the ID, that one, because auto incremented, that makes it unique. And the email, we've marked it as unique. So what happens if I try to use a non-unique one? So the name, let's have a look then. So let's say I want to look for Sophia. Copy there, copy the values, and I'll say name. And you see already it's underlining here, saying this is not assignable to type user where unique input. And it's because it's not unique. So we can try anyways and be stubborn. There. And let's see what happens. Yeah, it's breaking the code. So that does not work. Let's actually update our schema here. And we're going to add an age, which is going to be an integer. We're going to say is married. Is, you know what, is male, now is married, okay. Well, we know that's a yes or a no. And I also want to add maybe sport, and that is a string. There. Now, before I execute this again, remember here that you saw automatically all of them were not allowed to be null, so they were not optional. These were not optional. That means that if I'm gonna change the schema here, these become not optional, but I have not entered a value for these people, for those columns, new columns. So that makes them optional. So it's not gonna work. I can change that by making them optional, by adding a question mark behind them. So basically what I need to do is I need to empty the schema first. But I have to see it, so it doesn't matter. So delete. Now I can run the code I've been running before. And that was not this one, it was npm prisma migrate. Remember that? In development, name, and we're going to say 3 new columns added, and enter. Let's wait a second and see if it works. Your database is now in sync. Let's have a look. So if I refresh this, then I have more columns, see? So I have the ID. Let's see here. Can I? There. The ID that I had, the age, email, is married, name, and sports. Okay. Now when I want to see the data into the folder, you're going to see that I have a problem. Already up here, you see that it's complaining, and it is because it's missing the following properties. Age, is married, and sports, because they were not optional. So let's just run this through ChatGPT for a second and give us some more data. So I have just done that, and I'm going to replace it then. There. And now you can see that the age is married is still a boolean there, and sports, it's either cycling, running, or swimming. There. Let's see. Oh, this is a bit double here. There. Okay. So let's run this one here. Now the seed command has been executed. So let's check that out. Refresh. And the data is in there. Wonderful. Now I can do more things here. So let's have a look at my indexed yes, and let's check. Let's see here. Find many, and now we want to say where, and here we're going to say is married, and we want to set this to true. So if we look at the table, then we should have Michiel, Anna, Lars, and Oscar. Okay, let's try that out. And oh, I need to run the server. There. npm run dev. And let's try it out again. Michiel, Anna, Lars, and Oscar, because those are married. See, true, 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 true. And when I look at the, let's see, what else can we do? I want them to be maybe cycling, okay? I want their sport to be cycling. So we can go in here and we can say sport, and we want that to be cycling. So now they need to be married and the sport needs to be cycling. Let's try again. So we should only have Michiel and Lars left. Michiel and Lars. Okay. What about, let's take away, let's say false here. Let's see who we have. Only those that are not married. And let's say they should be older than 25, older than 26. Okay, so not Elin and not Hampus. So we want to say, so they're not married and their age, and now we can do like this, and we can do less than or less than and equal to, but we want to do greater than, not greater than equal to, so greater than, and what did we say, 26. There, let's see who we get. 28, 37, 29, and 30. So this is a way to get to filter more. So this is here, this is married and age, but we can also do or, right? So we can say, let's see, let's take this away here. There, and we're gonna say or, and an array, and then we're gonna write the text in there instead. So I can say, for example, sport is swimming, or, and let's see here, if I'm just opening this up, so we have people that like swimming, or, and let's see here then, or is not married, okay? Or is not married. So we want to filter people that like swimming, or is not married. So let's just type that in. Where are we? Here. So is married to false. Now, what happens then is that the people that like swimming but are married, like Anna, she still appears in the list because she is, she likes swimming and it says or. You know what I mean? It's not and is not married. So both of them. She fulfills one of the requirements and that's why she would show up. Let's try it out. Here. So she's not married. That's why she shows up. She fulfills both. Or what did I say? Not, we don't want them to be married. Sorry. So he shows up because he's not married. She shows up because she likes swimming. Not married, and swimming. So Johan fulfills both requirements. Not married, not married, not married. And Sophie also fulfills both requirements. So this is how you would then write, we can even say, or the age is greater than 30, for example. Not sure if that's going to make a difference. Yeah. Maybe everybody shows up now. I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people show up. Out of, how many do we have? Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, everybody shows up now. Okay, so we can say less than instead maybe. Then I don't think everybody will show up. Send. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Now instead of or, I can also of course write and. And does anyone show up then? Let's see. Yes. So Johan he meets every requirement. He's not married. He loves swimming. And what was it? He's younger than 30. And it's 29. So a very nice, easy way of writing this. I can also say, let's see here. I want people that, I'm just going to take this away here. I want people that their sport you know how we said swimming, let's see, swimming like this, and let's see here, now this everybody likes swimming, but we can also say those, let's see if I turn this one into an object actually, there, and then I want people to do not like swimming, so I get the opposite, there, cycling, everyone except swimming. So now I had to change this into an object here, with a key and a value. And I can also write it like this, let's see, instead of an object, I can turn it into an array, like that. And here I could say, actually, I need to turn that into an object there. And now I can say swimming or cycling, like so. So now I want to find everybody where the sports, if it shows up either cycling or swimming. So let's have a look. Cycling and swimming. So no running here. So that's also another way of writing it. So in the array, anyone who has, let me show you here. No, I mean, never mind. Okay, so let's move on, and we say app dots, and we can actually update the user. Okay, so we can still go to, we say user now, maybe instead of users. No, let's keep users, and the same there. It's going to be asynchronous. Request response try catch tab, and just copy this part there. Okay, let's write something in here where we can update the user. So we're going to say const updated user equals, and we're going to await it because it's going to talk to the database and it's going to be slow. Prisma.user, and now instead of create many, create, we're going to say update there, and it's going to help us here, where and data. And remember that when we do the update, that it needs to be on a unique identifier. Okay, so in our case, when we look at it, it's the ID or the email. We can't update the other ones because they could be duplicates. So I'm going to say where, and use the email, and let's update, let's update Sophia. There. Oh. Comma. Data. And what do we want to update on Sophia? Let's say that Sophia is married now. So we're going to say is married is going to be true. And what else can we change on Sophia? Maybe Sophia actually starts liking cycling. So we can say sport is now cycling. There. And let's check this out again in Postman. So we can say here, new one, and a put request, localhost 3000 users. And did I just stop the server? Maybe. Let's have a look. And let's have a look here. You can see it's declared but actually never used, and that's because here I actually never sent back the JSON here. There. Now let's check it again. And now we're good. Cycling, true, 30. Okay. Let's do a delete. App.delete. Users. async request response try catch, and we'll copy this part. There, and we're going to say const deleted user equals await, and then we do prisma.user dot, and we can do many or just one, so let's do one. And in here now, again you can see here where, and it needs to be unique, so we're going to say where the email is, and let's pick someone here. Let's see. Let's take Lars. Can I copy him like this? There. And delete. Paste him in there. And then we want the JSON back here. Response.json. There. Let's try that out. And we can say here delete user, and let's do a update user. And we do a delete user. Delete user. Deletes localhost 3000 users. And he is deleted because that's what we did. But we can also do something like this, where the age, for example, is greater than 30. And let's see what happens then. Send. And what did I do wrong here? Let's see here. Here. Invalid Prisma delete invocation where this is. Okay. Because it's asking for more than one, right? Greater than. So I need to say dot delete many there. Let's try it now. So we can see delete, send, and it's deleted 4 of them. So 4 people were older than 30. Okay, I think we will stop it here for now. This is quite a long lesson. And in the next lesson we will look at how we use the request body for that, instead of hard coding it like we did today. So request.body is on the next video. Well, good luck with this. Try to install it, play around with it, and I'll see you in the next video.